Ophira. Welcome to Frich.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I am so excited to chat with you today. There's a lot of really, really good stuff that I think we can talk about.
Okay.
But before we get started, I'm Aleksandra. I'm one of the founders of Frich, and we make sure to talk about all things money, like everything that people are afraid to discuss. We discuss it, and I think it's gonna be just fun talking about maybe like an aspect that you don't really discuss in your industry that much.
I think in my industry, a lot of people feel very anxious and quiet about the money.
You're one of New York City's like comedic pillars, in my opinion. And you've done multiple comedy specials. You've been on the Late Late Show, the Today Show. You have your own podcast.
Yep.
Parenting is a Joke, which I think is so funny.
Thank you.
You're obviously super busy. What made you want to come talk about money with us today?
I mean, I do think it's really important. And in my field, like for anyone that freelances or kind of hustles every day for their work, which I think is more people than we think, the idea I get asked all the time, someone will reach out to book me for something, a live show. And they often say, "What's your price?"
Mm,
And you just want to go back to them and go, "Well, what's your budget?
mm,
Because my price is the most you can afford." But that's like people aren't transparent. People are
right.
not transparent. And so then you try to find people who are also working at your level that are your friends in comedy. And you go, "Hey, what were you paid
Right.
for something similar?" And some people are shady about it and they don't want to say. And maybe it's because it's interesting. And some people are very cool about it.
Yeah.
But it's so problematic that none of us know and that
Right.
there's no rate sheet. Like
Right.
we're all making it up. And then the people that are booking you, they don't know.
Mm. Really, even they don't know?
No, they don't know. I mean, a lot of people think, and I think this is across the board, that they should be able to get everything for nothing. And then you have to come back and go, "No, this actually costs."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you and I first chatted,
Yeah.
you mentioned some things that I thought were so fascinating, and they're obviously like quite specific to your industry, but like you said, they actually do reach across to every single person that's sort of like a freelancer or doing like a job
Gig
that doesn't
work.
really have
Yeah.
like a blueprint, which I think is like more and more common.
More and more. And then you're just relying on kind of word of mouth to figure it
Right.
out.
Right. Do you feel like it has changed over time though? Are people a little bit more cool to discuss money?
A little, I do think a little bit. I think that's because it is the only way to figure it out.
Mm,
And there's a few, and also women tend to ask for less.
mm-hmm.
So there's just that, like the female comics are much more hesitant to ask for more money. It's amazing. I mean, this is just a confidence thing that we could go on forever and ever and ever. I found out recently guys do not write in gratitude journals or even know what they are. I'm not saying we should, but guess what, everybody? Gratitude journals are only being marketed to women.
Yeah.
A man has never, like, I guess they just write "you're welcome" every day. So, I mean, the idea of like, so we're very bad at it to begin with. And so a lot of female comics, a bunch of them have made it a point to be unbelievably transparent
That's cool.
with what they're being paid. Because also, again, we're working bar businesses, we're working in live event businesses. People are going to try to book you for as little as they can get away with.
Right.
And that's not their fault.
Right. I mean, it's part of their job.
That's part of their job.
Right.
So, but if a woman is already hesitant and you're feeling like all the things in society that have built this, and then you go out and you go $400 and they go, "Great." And then you find out the other person last week got paid 5,000. I
Right.
mean, it's possible that much of a difference can exist.
Right.
So yes, only because of utter need for survival. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, one of the reasons why I really wanted to also chat with you today is that I've been always so fascinated by comedians. I think I cannot imagine a job that I would be worse at ever. Like I like I cannot imagine something that would be more difficult for me to pull off than to stand on a stage in front of a bunch of people and try to make them laugh. And then if they don't laugh, I just have to keep going and going and going. And like as I was prepping for this interview, I remember that when I was in university, for one of my classes, we had to take a personality test, and my lowest scoring characteristic was humor. So
Really?
yeah,
You were but how did they gauge that? Were
I
they
don't
asking you to
know.
respond to something and say such a subjective thing, humor, but that's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's very flattering you say that because I truly think there is, like, the other side of it, especially because of some social media where everyone is, doing their vertical, videos that a lot of
Mhm.
people are like, I should do this."
Right.
And you're a little bit like or when someone says to me, "It's my New Year's resolution to do stand up." I'm like, "Great. Would you ever go up to an architect and go, 'It's my New Year's resolution to build a tower?'" I'd be
Actually,
like,
it's such
"How
a
did
good
you
point.
devalue my entire career
That's such
in
a
one New
good
Year's
point.
resolution?"
That's such a good point. Because it's not just like, "Oh, fun," you know? Like, it's a
Yeah.
career.
And of course, you can take a comedy class or a
Right.
speaking class or an improv class and have a good time.
Yeah.
Of course.
Wait, but okay, so how do you actually develop an act? Like, how do you come up with things that are gonna make people laugh? Like, what's your process?
I mean, everyone has a little bit of a different process, but the going way ahead of it, the only way to truly know if what you're working on will make a crowd laugh is to be in front of a crowd.
Mm,
So it's not like, let's say, practicing violin,
mm,
where you can just book 1,000 hours in a studio and just practice till your fingers bleed or what
mhm,
have you. You literally have to get in front of as many crowds as possible over and over and over, reps, different crowds, and try it. Because the first time, it might not work. The first time, it might work amazing. Like,
mm,
there's so many possibilities. And then the second time, you say it and it doesn't work, but it's also you learning it and listening to the audience. It is such a little bit of a dance and a
mhm.
dialogue, and you will rewrite things. Oh, I said that clearly this time, and now I said it in this way, or I wrote it in a way that wasn't, all these things become apparent.
Mhm.
And then sometimes you work on it for, I don't know, let's say 50 shows, and it never gets to that place, and you go, "Fine," and you shelve it,
Mm.
and you move on. But there's no so you write, and I have some comics that, due to the Zoom world that we all live in, we'll get on Zooms and we'll throw jokes by each other.
Oh,
Very formal thing, like
okay.
12 and 1, we're doing a Zoom where we're just trading a few jokes,
Mhm.
and we'll riff, and we'll also go, like, "Has anyone thought about this before?" There's that issue, like, "Oh, am I
Right.
thinking about a joke that people have done to death, and I don't need have you heard a joke about this?" And then you'll try a bunch of stuff, and then I'll take it to stage a few times, then maybe come back with my
Yeah.
pals. So it's a process, and it's great when you have, 6 or 7 shows lined up on a weekend because you can
Right.
hammer it through and see if there's something there.
Right. Can I ask you something? Are
Yeah,
your jokes true? Like, I've always thought about it. Like, are these stories
sure.
actually true?
So I think for most people, I think we used to live in a world where the what people were doing for stand-up was primarily not true. I think that
Mhm.
was a big trend, and you could be a weird character and
Mhm.
all. And I think right now we're working in the most popular kind of genre is for it to be true, and my stuff is definitely true.
Mhm. Okay.
That's just so much
Same.
easier. You would
It's
think
just
it'd be easier to make it up, but for me, that's harder.
okay, so you just, like, go about your day, you're like, "Huh, that was funny." You, like, write it down or, like
Usually something makes me it's a different emotion. Usually something makes me angry or
mm,
makes me frustrated. I think it's more in that realm that
mm,
then I later think about and go, "Oh, that's an inroad for a joke." I think a lot of funny stuff comes out of frustration and
mm,
annoyances
mhm,
and anger and sort of that, like, why is the world like this?
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's the tension that you can find
That's interesting.
some
I feel
humor
like
out of it.
yeah, like, I wouldn't have assumed that, like, the original emotion is frustration or anger, but I always thought, like, oh, like, it would be just start funny, and you just have to figure out a
Right.
good way to, like, land that joke in front of the audience, but it makes sense, like, sometimes when I don't know, like, I retell, like, an argument I had with someone to my friend, I'm like, "Actually, that was kind of hilarious. I
Right.
can't believe that
I think
happened."
that's the stuff that touches us
Yeah.
closer is when there's an emotional connection
Yeah.
of some level. And just to be frank, happiness is not funny.
Do
Things
you
working out, not funny. A good marriage, not funny. It's just not.
do you think that people, like, invent Or, like, not, like, invent bad stuff, but, like, create kind of alter egos or
Yeah, I think there's a lot of
persona-ish.
exaggeration,
Right, right, right,
right?
right.
It's like with storytelling, I do a lot in that genre. And someone once said to me, no one tells a story about their third favorite song or their fifth favorite relationship. Or, you want
Mhm.
to frame it all like this is the number
Right,
one. Yeah.
right. Okay, that's cool. Okay, um, maybe, like, broadening it a little bit,
Mhm.
when you and I first chatted, there was something that you mentioned that really, really stuck with me, and I think that's obviously true for your industry, but for many creatives in general. There's the 0.001% that, like, really make it, and they become super wealthy, super well known, like,
Yeah.
they are the it. Like, you think of a comedian, that's their name. You think of,
Yeah.
like, an athlete, that's the
Sure.
person. And then but for comedians in general or in
And you
creatives
hope
in
they don't just waste the money.
yes. But then, like, for creatives in general, then there's, like, that huge gap where there's no, like, sort of, like, middle class living. Like, you're either
Yeah.
super, super, super wealthy, super well off, or you're, like, barely making ends meet.
Right.
How how has, like, maybe your journey been of, like, actually, like, for lack of a better word, like, building, like, a middle class living by
Yeah.
doing a creative job that I think could be relevant to a lot of people
Yeah, I
listening?
mean, I think we think about this with actors too, right? There's like
Right.
10, let's just say 10 actors that are the stars of every movie, and we just Ryan Reynolds, da, da, da.
Right, right, right.
But there's a whole cast in there of these people that are getting booked
Right.
all the time, but they're not gracing magazine covers,
Right.
right?
Right.
But they're making they have houses, they're
Mhm.
supporting families. So, but for me, and I think this is more common in the creative field overall, uh, I just borrow it from when people talk about finances,
Mhm.
which is investments, diversify your portfolio. So, and I think that's is kind of where a lot of like people land. I came from a place where I'm battling something here because I think there is a feeling that you're good at your job if you put 100% and focus into that one thing. Like I think that is a competing narrative,
Mhm.
right? Like if you just don't do all the other things, you got to focus on this and then that will pay off. But I think more of it like if you go to the gym,
Mhm.
you want to be strong, you're going to work out all your muscles.
Mhm.
You're not going to just do arms
Mhm.
relentlessly, right?
Mhm.
So I work in stand up. I tend to work clean. I have a little stuff that is dirtier, but I tend to primarily work clean. So that means that I can do corporate stuff
Mhm.
or I can host fundraisers or I can fit in a lot of these settings. I don't ever do anything for kids. That's not my because I'm still talking at an adult level, but people have asked me and I go, "No, absolutely not. We gotta all draw the line somewhere."
Do you feel like people start asking you that more since you became a mother or before
Yeah,
as
and I
well?
think it's just, there is just naivete of your of just what people think stand-ups can do.
Mm.
Like, they'll just be like, "Ah, can you stand in the middle of the room and mime?" You're like, "Well, no, because that's not what I do." They're like, "It's not?" Like, you're just also educating people of what is
Right.
possible.
Right. But what is it like when you're like you are and I like the way you put it, like
Yeah, and I'll do the
diversifying yourself.
storytelling world. I found that world,
Yeah.
and writing. I'll sometimes do some freelance writing stuff,
Mhm.
or even helping people with their solo shows. I get a
Mhm.
lot of that now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. But I think, like, maybe that's also something that could be, like, maybe difficult for other people starting in the creative industries is that you just said it yourself, is that, like, you have to explain to other people
Oh,
what is it that you do,
all the time.
and then also at the same time, you have to put your price out there, and then you also have to, like, be good at it. Like, how do you do that? And there's not, like, a school you can go to.
So nice to just hear someone play back to me how hard it is. 'Cause I'm like, "It is hard." No, there is no school.
Right.
No, you talk to you that's where the community comes in, truly. I mean, even though we're all on stage independently, you go to a club, there's, any near club, there's 5 people on a show pretty much every night. These people are your colleagues. Some of them are gonna be your people as well, some of them will not be, just normal.
Right.
But we all use each other, and actually the people who hire comedians the most are other comedians
Okay.
because we get jobs that they're like, "Can you bring an opener?" Or, "Do you know s or
Mm.
we want a 90-minute show. Do you wanna do 90 minutes? Do you wanna bring someone else?" So we bring each other, or, "I can't do that date." "Oh, we love you. Can you" recommend someone else. So we give a lot of work to each other.
That's nice.
So it's very important, really, one, to just be nice
Right.
and easy to work with, and good on top of that. But like that is a huge thing.
Okay.
And we talk all the time. It's just as gossipy as any other office, but we talk all the time. And so, we know people that talk poorly about each other, and people that are not like that. But that's a huge thing. And I think actually, there's so much social media stuff out there that is very helpful now. Having all your stuff out there is really important. That's how you get work.
Right.
So yeah, you have to create it all.
It's cool to hear though. I don't know why I just assumed that it was a little bit more cutthroat. Like you are not colleagues, but you're more competitors with each
And some
other.
people are very just 100% competitive. There's certainly those people. But I think I find that there's a lot, everyone feels bad. They want to do better. Like we all have envy and all that stuff. And, oh, why didn't I get booked here? How come that person got booked? I'm so much better than them. There's a lot of that,
Right.
of course. But I think for the most part, people love what they're doing. They didn't get into comedy often to rake in the big bucks, because if you just want to make money, like choose something else.
Right.
You're getting into it for a very specific reason, and you want to be around the other people that are doing what you do and live this bizarre vampire lifestyle that makes no sense, that nobody understands, and share with you the thing where you're like, yeah, they asked me if I would stand in the middle of a table at a reception and do moving statue stuff, but I almost took it because it was $1,000. You need the people that understand that.
What is the most like common thing that you guys share as like the one thing that makes you like stick through it? Like what is that like the most common reason people commit to comedy?
I think childhood trauma. I think that would be it.
Okay. Next question. That's so funny. Anything else besides that? No.
Well, I mean, that's like what drives. Why do people get into a creative field? I mean, there's something driving you from your life to feel the need to get up in front of a bunch of strangers and plead with them for their love through the form of getting a laugh. I mean, I don't think that's someone who's like just fine. I think there's a lot that goes into it. So that's what. And then the relentless pursuit of needing that day after day, year after year. And then at a certain point, you don't have any other skills. I'll try to be clear. Let me get back to money. It's not the cash. I mean, you could say a comedian by the name of Corey Kahane has a joke that I love. And she goes, "This is the greatest job ever. Number one, the hours. I just started and I'm almost done." Right? Because it is true. I mean, it's not true. Like you go, oh, what, you only worked an hour a day. And of course, that's not true if you were to really rack the hours. But, there's the excitement once, the thrill of being on stage.
Right.
There is something very intoxicating about that. Yeah. Which also means you're going to fail on stage.
I read about your memoir. I didn't have time to read it.
There you go. But trauma. There you go. It's waiting for you.
But I'm just curious, with all of this, when you're working on your act, you're in your 20s, you're maybe not as recognizable yet. How do you go about the city dating and trying to like explain to men what you do for a living?
Terrible. Well, number one, because a lot of guys are like, well, I mean, this is a stereotype, but man, it runs deep. The idea that they are going to date a woman who is funnier than them. Whew. So there's a whole section of men that are gone from the pool. Oh yeah. Because that's not a cultural norm especially in America. The man is the funny one.
Right. The center of the room.
No guy puts on his dating profile looking for a woman with a sense of humor. Zero. Hot, big boobs, blah, 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 blah. Zero. Sense of adventure, maybe. Travel. But there is not one that is like, can't wait to meet a woman who's funnier than me. Can't wait.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah. And
Good.
so, I mean, of course there's cool people out there.
Right.
So, but it's not your average. They might
Right.
be fascinated with it,
Right.
which is nice.
Right.
Yeah. And there's plenty of women I know that are in successful careers, but I will also tell you that a lot of the female comics I know are with other comics.
Really. Is it because of the
I
lifestyle?
think so. I mean, it is just like
Yeah.
it is. Even my husband, who is the most, I mean, he works in entertainment,
Mhm.
but he has no desire to get on stage.
Mm.
Even he sometimes is like, "What do you mean you have a gig on X date?"
Mm.
Because what days are good days for gigs? Valentine's Day, Christmas Eve,
Right.
New Year's Eve. Like these are all
Right.
big money making dates in a calendar for a live performer.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it could be hard to be the partner of someone who is booked and busy for all these
And that moment where
important
you're
days.
like, "Hey, I know it's your birthday next week, but I just got offered," and you have to literally sell them like it's this much money and da, da,
Mhm.
da, and so you find within your relationship the threshold of when it's okay.
What's a big enough amount of money
Yeah, or
to miss
good
someone's
enough.
birthday?
Yeah, exactly.
Rough. Um,
Someone should
yeah.
create that rate sheet. What
Your
what?
birthday is worth
Yeah, yeah. That's right,
$1,038.95.
exactly. Being with you on Valentine's is worth $40. Well, I think Valentine's is just too
No,
expensive as a person anyway, so
it's unnecessary.
yeah.
On that note,
Yeah.
actually, I was gonna ask, as more and more of us kind of go into these like I hate this word, but like fluid careers where
Yeah.
like you're doing a little bit of everything and there's not really like the blueprint of like your career and your roadmap. How do you actually go like we talked a little bit about that, but like how do you go about figuring out how to price yourself early on in your career when you might feel like you need it for the experience or like you don't have enough to even start the negotiation? Like, how do you go about it? Like, how do you stand up for yourself?
Yeah, it's very hard. So, I mean, the like I said earlier, the number one thing is immediately you go to another comic and you go, "How much do you think I should ask for this?"
Mhm.
And, sometimes if that doesn't yield a good result,
Mhm.
sometimes I will just go, let's look at this in the broader sense. This gig is you get very logistical. All right, I live in New York. This gig is in New Jersey. It's only a 1 hour drive. It's on a Thursday night. What is an amount of money that I would be happy with walking away? Like
Mhm.
the minimum,
Mhm,
because I'm just starting out. So I'm not
mhm,
asking for 1,000
mhm,
probably. And that answer might be $300.
mhm,
I might sometimes look at other venues around there and find someone that's working at another venue and talk to them. Or there occasionally you can say to someone who is booking, "What is your budget?"
mhm,
And they might just say $200, and then you have to decide, "Okay, I asked. So what am I going to do? Am I going to come back and go, 'Well, I can only do it for 3?'"
mhm.
And what is that extra $100? Like,
Right,
that's not gonna change anyone's life. But
right,
what does that signify?
right.
So I feel like it's a very emotional, kind of weird, almost like it's almost like a dating dance
Mhm.
where you're just like, "Let's
You're
see,
like
let's
not too
see, let's
desperate, but
see,
you
let's
kind of
see."
want it.
And I think a lot of people just undervalue themselves. But I also think at that level, you don't get asked a lot what you will do. They just come at you
Mm,
with a number that is small.
mhm,
And you have to decide if you can. And I remember it was a New Year's resolution, and it's one that I always think about. And I think it's in the vein of what a lot of women especially say is I have to learn how to say no.
mhm,
Very important for taking yourself up to the next level, learn how to say no.
mhm.
And I think for me that is do not take a gig where when that gig comes up on the calendar, you go, I would pay someone more to do that gig for me
Right,
than me go out and have to do it,
right.
because it's too far and it's too little money and it's, too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it like? You mentioned this number, which like absolutely blew my mind. But what is like a typical rate that like the Comedy Cellars or whatever that we know?
Like, for just going in there and doing a spot
Mhm.
on a weekend or a week changes.
Both?
Weekday. Weekday, it's gonna be somewhere in the depending on the club, $40 to $100 range, and on the weekend, you're dealing with somewhere, depending on the club, $50 to $150. Yes, so no one understands that we're all trying to make a living.
Right.
And the city spots are very important
Right.
for numerous things. One, because being a stand-up in New York goes a long way.
Right.
Working at these clubs goes a long way. You're working with really good people, so you're being seen with a great group of people. These are your peers. These are people that are doing incredible things. People come who are tastemakers and industry people to these shows. You might be seen. It's important to be in that world, and trust me, we all think the numbers should be higher
Right.
because these clubs seem to be making a lot of money.
Right.
So, but that's why we do many sets a night. That's the goal. The goal is on the weekend, you are going from 6 to midnight, and you are going to different clubs. And so hopefully you have a lot of clubs to work with. But, you have to work with those bookers. They're not always great about it, about making sure the times work out, because all shows are kind of 8 and 10.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a whole we always talk about, like, don't these people understand that we're trying to make a living on a
Right.
Saturday night, and we're running around the city, and sometimes you got to put a little extra money down for a cab or an Uber to even get yourself
Right.
to the next venue, and
That's
we're
what I'm
all
thinking.
trying. Yeah, it is. I talked about weirdly this all week with stand-ups
Yeah.
because I had to cancel on a show that I was booked on because I just could not make the timing work. So I had to look at it and go, which spots am I keeping and which ones do I have to? And no one likes to cancel
Right.
because the fear is in this business, if you cancel, they just never hire you again.
Right. But that's also crazy, like, right? Like, if you think, like, 6 to 12, like, 6 PM to midnight,
Yeah.
your, like,
Yeah.
time slot, like, and I don't know, I'm assuming, like, maybe 1 gig an hour or something.
Sure.
That's 6 gigs, and if you're $50 per, that's $300. If you even have to take a handful of Ubers in between,
No, you walk away with nothing.
nothing. And you, like, grab a dinner
Yeah. Hopefully
somewhere.
a few of the clubs will feed you.
Oh, how kind.
Yep. So, but I mean, sometimes you don't even have the time to do that
Right.
because you're like, I got to go to hit the 7. If you can get 5 in a night, that's great. I know a few people who can do that.
Yeah.
But not everyone has access to getting that many spots because you
Right.
also have to have enough love from the bookers to give you that much placement on the shows.
Damn. Okay, well, and I think this is, like, we can, like
As I'm saying it, I'm like, I should quit. This is ridiculous. What am I doing? I'm a grown woman.
Well, maybe we can, like, kind of, like, tie, like, a nice bow around
Okay.
all this, because I do think that, like, there's so many, like, kind of moments when you mentioned this, right? But, like, you mentioned that, like, these, like, sort of high profile shows, like,
Yes.
impossible to, like, make a living out of. But they're really, really important in, like, practicing your craft and getting your name out there. And then you have, like, the diversifying of your portfolio and, like, doing all these
Yeah.
other things just to make a living. But something that you've mentioned, and I think that that's something that a lot of creatives struggle with. I have, like, a couple of people in my friend group that go through this mental torment every single day where, like, the, like, cool, sexy, fun stuff doesn't pay any money. And they're like, the stuff that pays money is so embarrassing.
There's that too. I
And, like,
know.
you
Like
really
that's honestly I'll take any corporate gig. If anyone's watching, I'll take any corporate gig. But sometimes those are soul sucking. I'm not gonna lie.
And, like, people sometimes look down upon the fact that you take those, and I'm just curious, like, if you
Yeah.
have any, like, words of wisdom for anyone that's, like, kind of going through that mental torment, especially when you're younger and you're trying to build your brand and you're like, "I can't be seen doing, like,
Oh
an
God, yeah.
ex-corporate brand's, like,
I know.
fundraiser."
Well, I mean, if you talk to any stand-up, they will say, especially in the beginning, say yes to everything. Say yes to everything. You don't know. You don't know what it leads to. That soul-sucking corporate thing, there is someone there that hires you for the next gig. You don't know that the audio person at the club kind of loves hearing you and their friend wants someone for a birthday party. You don't want to do the birthday party, but that's $2,000, which means that you now have a runway for next week not doing this. Like, just say yes to everything. You don't know who you're going to meet, like be nice to, and also just, I mean, it sounds so simple, but we always say it's like the second you walk into any situation, be nice to the door person, the bartender, whatever, whoever you're dealing with, be nice to everyone because everyone is potentially going to hire you. Every person you encounter might hire you again. And it's happened.
Yeah.
I got a 10-year career at NPR because of an audio person. So you don't, the auditions, I mean, it's New York. Everyone's doing a million cool things. But also when I had a kid, I felt like I just couldn't say yes to everything
Mm.
because now I had a whole other situation that was going to change my schedule. So I made a very simple spreadsheet. It's like not even worth the word spreadsheet thing, but I think if you're really struggling, do the math. So for me, I created 5 categories to run a gig through.
Mhm.
And the title was Should I Take It?
Love it.
And it was money, length of time, like door to door length of time.
Mhm.
That was very important to me. Is it good for my career? Fun factor,
Important.
very important. And if I personally felt that it was people that I love working with.
Mhm.
Okay. And then I just gave it a mark, each one a value out of 10,
Mhm.
which would give me a value out of 50.
Mhm.
And then I times it by 2 to make it a percentage because
Mhm.
I like thinking in percentages. And I decided anything under 50, I had to say no to.
That's such a good
But
system.
sometimes the money gets basically 20% of the vote
Mhm.
and the fun is 0.
Mm.
But the career potential, is a 10. Like there are ways of things that you're like, oh, I have to say yes to that,
Mhm.
even though fun and friends is 0.
Mhm.
And sometimes the sexy, cool stuff, but the money is 2
Mhm.
and you're going to do it.
Mhm.
But at least
Mhm.
you're like, I know exactly why I made this decision.
Mhm. That's such a good way of thinking about it. I love that. Anyways, rapid fire question.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. What's the shittiest gig you've done just for the money?
I did. I made fun of this earlier, but it's truth. Years ago, it was a misbooking, which it was a corporate gig, but it was a misbooking that I had an agent that did not communicate properly to me about what this gig was. And then she was sort of like, well, you'll figure it out. And I had to put on a costume. I don't put on costumes.
What was the costume?
It was like to be sort of like a Grecian statue and makeup all over my face that was sort of marbled. And I was supposed to stand in the middle of a Ritz-Carlton reception room while a bunch of people from some financial institution wandered around. And then every once in a while, she had instructed me, like, switch your pose and like tap your watch and then go back to the pose. A moving statue, like these people that you see that do this in tourist areas. You know what I'm talking about?
Wait, but you didn't tell any jokes?
No. But also nobody knew who I was because I had all this makeup on and a costume. Anyways, guess what? It's really hard to stand still. I was
Yeah.
terrible at it.
So painful, no?
It's so painful.
Yeah.
I was supposed to do an hour. I fell apart at 15 minutes and ran. I ran. I've never run from a gig before. I ran.
How much did they pay you?
I think it was a long time ago now, but I think it was $2,000.
Damn.
Yeah. And it was in all expense paid trip to Florida. I mean, like, kind of who cares, but that was a big deal to me at the time.
Honestly, I might have
Yeah, exactly. No, nobody I tell it to. Everyone's like, huh, I might take it.
It's a pretty shitty gig, but well
It
paid.
was not, yeah. So that side,
Yeah.
right? It got full marks on my graph.
Okay. How long did it take for a comedy to pay your rent?
I mean, a couple different sections because I started in Canada.
Mm.
And so I got to the point in Canada after not a lot of time, honestly, only
That's cool.
about 5, 6 years, 5 years, where, my cost of living was a lot smaller, but I was paying my rent with it. And then I moved to New York and it took me, I guess, another 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do like side jobs?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. I had a
things like-
million side jobs. I used to do computer tech work, like fix people's computers at businesses.
I was gonna ask what's the most random one, but I think that's
Yeah, I was your support person. And it's good. I've done all the male-dominated fields. I should get a gig in billiards next. I did a lot of like personal assistant kind of admin stuff. I worked retail. I worked but the IT job, once I kind of floated into that, I did that pretty much till I didn't have to work anymore.
All right.
And then it was still a struggle. Like I was really, every month I was like, am I making this happen?
Right. Damn.
So I took everything.
Yeah. Yeah. You said yes to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the most you've ever been paid for a gig?
$20,000 for a live gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. $20,000.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a game
That's
changer.
amazing.
Yeah. Does not happen very often.
What was the gig?
It was a birthday party for a very high profile person.
Do you wish you had asked for more? Do you feel like you could have had even more?
Oh, no. I
Yeah.
feel like that was just fine.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like at one point, if someone's willing to pay 20, they would pay 25.
This is true. At a certain point, it becomes meaningless. I was not very good at that gig. They wanted
Yeah.
more of a roast thing. It's not my greatest, so I did have some people help me.
Mm.
And it was much harder than I expected because it felt so much pressure.
Right.
And it was a very small amount of people, which is just harder.
Right. Right.
But yeah.
And it was in someone's apartment?
It was in the basement, like one of the kind of private dining things
Oh, okay.
of a
Yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
they often have these
Mhm.
little small private dining rooms.
And they paid you 20 grand to roast a birthday person?
Yeah.
What did you say?
Oh, I can't even
Because you
remember.
don't know that person.
I don't know. No, they were feeding me ahead of time with stuff that was not particularly useful.
Right.
But what I should have done is spend $2,500 of that
Yeah.
to half hire
Right.
someone who's really good at roasts to
Right.
help me write something. But I did have a friend help me a little bit, but I maybe took them out for dinner. But I was so, I really wanted to write it myself for my own, sense of, I guess, fulfillment.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But you could be very businessy about it and just
Right.
go, I'm going to use all the resources I can.
Right.
I've got this big chunk of money coming my way.
Yeah.
I'm just going to farm out some of it.
Right. Because who are the people at the birthday party? Like potential other hires.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Where can we see you next?
Where can you see me at? Tonight?
Ooh.
When I'm in the city, I perform almost every night here, either at the Comedy Cellar or Gotham Comedy Club or New York Comedy Club. Those are my three mains. And then there's lots of, kind of cool rooms and stuff around New York that I'll do that have comedy. And then, and then I go out on the road and that's just all over the place. So depending on the day, I'm probably going to perform in somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to put everything up online so people can buy tickets.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for
My
doing this with me.
pleasure.
That was so fun.
Thank you.